right? So JavaScript will be used for client-side validations, right? And XML, like it stands for Extensible Markup Language, right? So let's understand the difference between XML and JSON. Both XML and JSON are used to store and transport data. Both XML and JSON, right? So XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Okay, JavaScript object notation. I highlighted the initial letters, what makes this JSON, right? So, but the difference between both of these is JSON is a lightweight format for storing and transporting data. So that's why like nowadays, like JSON is used mostly. XML was replaced by JSON, right? So XML is not being used now, like after JSON came into picture, because like JSON is lightweight format. And in the next slide I will like I explained like with examples, right? How does an XML code looks like and how does JSON looks like, right? And JSON is often used when data is sent from a server to a web page. It is self-describing and easy to understand. Okay, so the important things you have to remember is like the ones in the highlighted one, right? Both XML and JSON are used to store and transport data, but JSON is a lightweight format for storing and transporting data. That's why now JSON is mostly used here. And like in the next slide I have kept some examples, like suppose, say for example, there is some employee data stored in both XML and JSON format. So if it is JSON, this is how it looks like. See, this is the data of 3 employees, right? Of employees first name and last name. So if we use XML, this is the format. Okay, there is an employees tag, right? These are called as tags, right? Whatever enclosed in this angle bracket, like these are called tags, right? So there is employees tag in which you have again one employee tag, and under that you have first name, last name, right? So if the same data is to be sent in JSON format, this is how it looks like here.
Yes.
So you can see like if it is XML, like you can see like how many lines are there. So for each employee there are 3 lines plus one opening employees tag and closing employees tag, right? So 3 is 9 plus 2, right? It coming to 11 lines.
11.
Whereas here like it's hardly like 5 lines, right?
Mm. Yes.
Okay, so that's why it is called as lightweight format. JSON is called as lightweight format.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And let's discuss the HTTP response codes, and we can start scripting. From tomorrow we can start scripting. So let me finish like get request and post request also we will discuss today. Right. So so when we send a request to the server from browser, right? So let me I restarted my machine, and WebTools is working after restarting. So the reason why I'm telling is, if you face any issue with WebTools application, right? So restart your machine. So restart your machine and the issue should be fixed, right? Even though you started WebTools server, if you are if you are getting page can't be displayed, just restart the machine. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now let me show like first let's see the developer tools, and we'll go to the response codes. Control Shift I is the shortcut in, right? Or function F12, that is a shortcut for developer tools, right? I
Yes.
launch developer tools and I am in network tab, right? So when I'm and from the browser I'm sending a request to the server for what page?
Index.html page.
Yes, I'm sending a request for index.html page. So
Yeah.
what kind of request I am sending?
Get request.
I'm sending a GET request. So
Get
if you open the file location, right, you'll go to WebTools, and if you see in WebTools, you have a folder called htdocs, means HTML documents. So under that you have WebTools folder, under that you have index.html. So by sending this request, right? By sending this request to the server, you are sending a get request to for this page. You are asking server to get this index.html page to me. Here,
Yes.
this particular page, right? Now it has returned a page, it has sent a response, means it has sent a response means like it sent that it, server has served that page, right? I'm sending the request one more time to show you something. So observe here, you see, index.html, header.html, we'll come to this, like, how these are called. We sent only one request, but there are total of 8 requests that are sent. Developer tool is showing us 8 requests, right? We'll come to this, how these are called. But first observe here, there are some numbers over here, right, in the status column.
Yes.
These are nothing but your response codes, HTTP response codes. All right.
Okay.
And type means what type of resource is that, right? So this is a HTML document. Header.html is a HTML document. This is a Perl document. Welcome.pl is a Perl document. And PNG, this is an image format, right? PNG, GIF, GIF, these are all image formats, different image formats, right? So you see, like, the type, document type is, or the web component type is a PNG image, right? Right. So we need to understand, what are these response codes, right? The column, status column shows the response codes. Now let's go back to the slide. So you see here, there are 5 different types of response codes in HTTP, right? We
Yeah.
have 5 different types of response codes, right? The first one, so first, yeah. First, HTTP is a set of HTTP protocol, right? We discussed already what is a protocol. Protocol is a set of rules for communication between browser and server, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
to be precise, set of rules for transferring files on the World Wide Web, right? HTTP is an application protocol that runs on top of TCP/IP suite of protocols. HTTP runs on top of TCP/IP, right? So that is the reason, like, yesterday we discussed, like, once it resolves the IP address, browser resolves the IP address, like, it has to establish a TCP connection on which it has to send a HTTP request. You remember this, right?
Yes.
It will open a TCP connection over which it has to send a HTTP request, right? So HTTP runs on top of TCP/IP suite of protocols, right? If you can remember, that's fine. Otherwise, not an issue. You can ignore that. But you have to remember this. What is HTTP protocol? What is meant by a protocol, right? That you have to remember, right? So now there are 5 different types of response codes. Response code, starting with 1, right? 1xx means any number can come over here in the place of x, right? 1xx, which indicates informational. 1xx response code stands for informational. Means what information does it provide? It says that the request is received and continuing the process. Server is continuing the process. Okay. Once you send a request, if you get the response, you may get a response code of any of these category. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Once you send a request, right? You send a request to the server like web2 index.html. You may get a response code of any of these 5 response codes, right? Now we are discussing what each type of response code means. Clear?
Yes.
All right. So 1xx indicates that, request is received by the server and server is continuing the process. That's what 1xx indicates, right? And 2xx indicates success. Means if you get any response code starting with 2, number 2, right? So observe here, like we got a response code of, see here, we got a response code of 200 over here, which indicates a success. 200 okay, right? That means the request is processed successfully and server has sent a response, proper response. Here, header.html and this part is called as header.html. This blue color bar at the top of the page. Guys, this is very important to understand the developer tools. Like we'll be using developer tools very frequently in the performance testing, or even functional testing team will be using the developer tools very predominantly using this developer tools. So only network tab. Okay, you need not bother about other tabs. Developers will be using other tabs, but we need to understand like the network tab. Right now, 2xs indicates that the request is success. The request is processed successfully. Right. So this class of status codes indicates that action requested by the client was received, understood, accepted, and processed successfully. Means if the server is able to process your request successfully, then it returns a response code of 2xx. Clear? See, why I mentioned as 2xx is you will have 201, 202, and so on. That's why. So any number can come here. That's why I mentioned as xx. Clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So if you observe here, there is one response code that starts with 3, but it is not 300, but it is 304.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any response code that starts with 3 indicates a redirection. Any response code that starts with 3 indicates a redirection. Okay. So we sent a request to index.htm and it has redirected to some other page. That's what it means. Let me show you that index.htm once. Let's see the code for this index.htm page. Okay. So observe here this is the index.htm code, right?
Yes.
HTML code of index.htm, right? If you observe here, it is this index.htm is calling header.html and welcome.pl. Here,
Yeah.
it is calling header index.htm is calling header.html and welcome. This CGI bin welcome.pl, right? That's why you see the response code as 304. Right? It is not directly serving any page, but it is redirecting to some other pages. That's why you see the response code of 304. So if you want to remember redirection, and I can give some example. Suppose there is a popular business or there is a popular shop, right, in the market, and suppose they are shifting to some other location, right?
Yeah.
They want to shift to some other location, and they want to let all their customers know that, right? So they will keep a board in front of their shop, right? So the shop has been shifted to so and so location. Means they are redirecting their old customers to the new location or new shop, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So and the next response code is 4xx. If you send a wrong request, then you get this 4 response code starting with number 4, right? So the 4xx class of status code indicates a client side error. 4xx class of status code indicates a client side error, means your request is wrong, right? For example, let me show you that. Suppose index.htm page is there. By mistake, you sent a request for you. There is a typo and you have sent a request like this, right? Right? You see this 404 not found, right?
Yes, yes.
Right? So it is starting. So all these response codes starting with number 4, right? They indicate that there is some client side error. Okay. And remember this response code 404 not found. Okay. You have to remember some response codes. Okay. Remember this 404 not found.
Oh.
You can note it down if you are taking running notes. Any running notes, you can note it down. Right? So we have sent a wrong request. There is no page index.html. Got it?
Yes.
Now, so the last type of response code is 5xx. That is, if the server is unable to fulfill your request, you sent a valid request, but if the server is not able to process your request, then you see a response code starting with number 5. So it indicates 5xx response codes are server side errors. You might have seen 500 internal server error, right? Have you ever seen that response code 500 internal server error?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so that means there is some issue with the server. Either the server is not running or it is unable to fulfill the request. Okay. So this is all about response codes, HTTP response codes.
Okay.
Now yesterday we discussed like HTTP request methods are of 4 types, guys. Another important interview question. Yesterday I attended one interview. The interviewer asked this one in the first 5 questions. Like he asked what are the different. I mean, he did not ask what are the different methods, but he asked like what are the different request methods that you came across till now, or did you used, right? Yesterday evening only I attended one interview. Like this is one of the question. What are the different HTTP request methods? Okay, very basic question. I didn't expect though, but you have to know. Okay. Right. So there are 4 different types of 4 important. Of course, there are many other request methods like patch and so on. But there are 4 important request methods like get, post, put, and delete. All right. So let us understand like what are the different request methods. The first one is get method. Right. So get method is used to request data from a specified resource. Get method is used to request data from a specified resource. Right, and it is one of the most common HTTP methods. I gave some example as well yesterday. I have shown you right yesterday. So let me send a valid request. So if you see this, if you click on that particular request, you see the request method is get. Right? Why it is called get method is we are asking server to get this page for us. We are asking server by sending this request. We are asking server, Web2 server, to get this page for us. Simply get that page for us. Right. So get method is used to request data from a specified resource. It's one of the most common HTTP methods, right? And it will be like this. I mean, when you send a get request, it will be going in the URL like this. And if there are any, hold on. So if there is any name value pairs, let us understand this name value pairs as well. What is this name value pair? Note that the query string is sent in the URL of a get request, right? First, let us understand what is this query string. Okay. Anything that in the URL, if you see a question mark and anything that is followed by a question mark, that is called as, query string. Able to follow?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the URL, if you see a question mark, right? And anything that is followed by a question mark, that is any string that is followed by a question mark, that is called as query string, right? Query string. Now let us understand name value pairs. Name value pairs ante this is one pair. Name 1 is equal to value 1. Name 2 is equal to value 2. So you have 2 name value pairs. Okay. We will revisit this example also. Okay. I know, like we will see some URLs which will be like this. Okay, I'll note it down. Okay, and these are the properties of get methods. Get request can be cached. Means what does that mean? Get request can be cached means
It can be stored in the machine.
Yes.
they can be stored in the browser cache, right? And they remain in the browser history till you clear them. They remain in the browser history. and they can be bookmarked. Get request can be bookmarked. Bookmarked means like we bookmarked some pages, right? We bookmarked this page, right?
Yes.
Right. That is get request can be bookmarked. Get request should never be used when dealing with sensitive data like username and password. Get request should not be used when dealing with sensitive data like username and password, right? So that's why when you are submitting the credentials, yesterday we observed, right? So what is the request when we submit the username and password?
Post.
Right. So like I'm submitting the username and password, right? Then the request method is a post method, right? Because if developer use get method over there, ఇక్కడ developer get method use చేస్తే the credentials will be visible in the URL. The username and password will be visible in the URL if the developer uses get method over here.
Oh, oh, okay. But that's the post.
So login.pl undi kada, so that is where we are submitting the credentials. Hold on, let me check if I can show that example. You can do that, modify the code and show that. So welcome.pl, this is here, it's here, right? Welcome.pl is here. You can see the path of the resource, right? You can see in the developer tools. See CGI bin login.pl, right? So this login.pl is in CGI bin folder. That's what it says. So if developer uses get request for this at this step, particular login step, right? Here obviously whenever there is a whenever at the login page or whenever there is some form data, they will use a post request, right? But if they use get request, what happens is like your data will be visible in the URL like this. Your data will go like this. Username is equal to Jojo, ampersand password is equal to it will show the password in the URL. Okay, so that's why whenever credentials are submitted or some form data is submitted, that request will be designed as a post request. In the same way, another instance, let me show you another instance. Suppose if you click on sign up now, right, and you submit your data, all the data, right, this also will be a post request, right? Whenever you click on continue, right, so you are giving username and password, right? So here you are submitting some form data. So here also it will be a post request. Clear? Let me show you that otherwise. Okay. I'm giving the username as Jan8 user1. What I will give as password. Right, and I am submitting the form data, right? You can see here, it is a post request, right? And you can see all the data over here. See here, the form data, you can see the form data, right? So whatever data we submit in a form, that is called as form data, right? You have to remember this term. What is form data? FORM. Okay, can you please note it down? Form data is nothing but like the data that we submit in a form, right? right? That is called as form data. Data submitted in HTML form to the server. That is called as form data, right? What data we submitted? We submitted username, password, password confirmation password, first name, last name, address, and so on, right? Okay, so post request is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. So what is the, we are creating a username, we are creating a new user by submitting this form data, right? So post request is used when we send data to a server, right? The data sent to the server with post is stored in the request body of the HTTP request. The data sent to the server with the post is stored in the request body of the HTTP request. You have to remember this, guys. The data sent to the server with post is stored as a request body of the HTTP request. Right? These all goes under the request body. Next. So this is an example of post request. Okay. So, test demo form.php, and this is the protocol, HTTP protocol. This is the protocol version 1.1, right? Host is w3schools.com. So it will go, the data will go like this. Name 1 is equal to value 1, name 2 is equal to value 2, right? Let me show you that. Okay. You can see it over here. So here you are seeing as form data, right? If you click on view source, like, you'll see this. Username is equal to Jan 8 user 1, ampersand password is equal to password, right? Yes, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
These are called as name value pairs. Again, these are called as name value pairs. This is name, this is value. Again, this is name, this is value, right? All these are called name value pairs, and observe that they are separated with an ampersand. Got it?
So basically, whatever we are passing in the body, we can see in under view source.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, your data will go like this.
Hmm. Okay.
Your data will actually, see, this is for our understanding, right? This is easier to understand, right? But, actually your request will go like this only,
Okay.
in the form of name value pairs. And, observe that, all the name value pairs are separated by an ampersand. Got it?
Hmm. No. Yes.
Developer tool is showing all the web page components, right? Means
Yes,
different
yes.
components means parts, right? Different parts of the page. Means these all make up a page, right? Header.html, welcome.pl, hp logo.png, right? See this hp logo.png, right? This is the one. This is hp logo.png, right? Image, right? And what is this? Webtool. The next one is webtools.png, right? This webtools.png. So this one, this is another image, right? And nav.pl. So this frame is nav.pl. This frame, nav for navigation. Okay, this frame is nav.pl. And home.html. So maybe this is home.html. No, I think this is welcome.pl. This is welcome.pl. Okay, so these all together make a page, right? All together make the page, right? And not, right? So it is showing all the web page components, right? And let me clear the annotation, right? And what else it shows? Can you please, give me control, Pranita, once?
So, sir, it's not mine.
Sir, it's my
Ravi
screen.
Teja. Ravi. Yeah.
Yeah, I have approved your request.
Okay. So, and what else it gives? Observe here. Observe here. It is giving the response codes. So, can you note it down? What does a developer tool? What information does a developer tool provide? It provides the web page component details, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
And what is the next information that it provides? Response code, HTTP response codes. Can note it down, please. Right? Okay. I'm stopping your screen share, Ravi. I'm sharing my screen. I will take another website, apple.com. Okay. So what all it provide, it provides what are the all the page components, right? Making a note of it here. Right? They provide what information, what all information it provides? Web page components. Next, HTTP response
Response.
code.
Response.
Next, component type, right? Type is the component type. right?
Document type.
Document type, yeah. The next important thing is size, right? It gives the size of each component. Observe here, JavaScript size is, hold on. JavaScript size, the JavaScript file size is 38.1 KB, right? So in the same way, it is showing the size of each component, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is important, right? So size of each component. The next one is time taken, response time of each component. This is important one. Where do we see the response time? See, this is the response time of each component. That means this particular JavaScript file took some 166 milliseconds to load, right? And experience meta, this took some 937 milliseconds. So this is giving the response time breakup also, right?
Yeah.
Means
Yes.
this is the total response of the page. You see somewhere, the finish time is 1.6 seconds, right? Out of that, each component took this much time, right? So it is giving the response time of each component. That is important, guys. This is important to remember.
Yeah.
Okay. And observe here, there are total 53 requests. It is showing how many components are there in that page. How much data is transferred? 1.2 MB data is transferred, right? 3.4 MB resources, and finish time is nothing but your response time. Okay. Finish time is nothing but your response time, total response time. So if you sum up all these, and if you add the DOM content load time, you'll get this 1.6 seconds. So let me take a simple example. As there are 53 requests here, we'll consider we'll take this WebTools example. Right? So observe here, this is the total time is 648 milliseconds, right? So if you sum up these like 402 milliseconds, like 107, all these, if you add all these together, that will come approximately 650 milliseconds. Okay. And there is something called the DOM content loading time. So I will explain that later. What is DOM content, HTML, what is HTML DOM? DOM stands for document object model, DOM. DOM stands for document object model. I'll explain that later. Simple topic. These are all simple topics. Okay. HTML is easy to understand and easy to, interpret. Okay. So if you sum up all these times, like, right, it will come around like 600 milliseconds. Okay. And if you add this DOM content load time, it will come up to 648 or 650 milliseconds approximately. All right. Next. Yeah. So going back to the
Kishore, one
post.
question. Can we also map each and every component like what we have on UI? How can we map everything, every component on the developer tool with the UI? Is there a way?
Map in the sense like, this is an image,
Map in the sense that-
webtours.png. Here you are seeing webtours image, right? And HP logo, you can map like this. That is the only way that I know.
Okay, okay.
And one more thing, observe here, there is a filter here. So by default, all will be selected. Suppose if you want to see only images, right? Click on this IMG, right? You see only
Okay.
images, right? If you select JavaScript, like there are no JavaScript files over here, that's why it is not showing up anything, right? So you can use this, to filter the, page components. We can see that clearly, suppose for example, you go
Okay.
to apple.com site, there are, around 50 plus requests, right? So that time it will become handy. If you select all, it will show all the web page components. Okay. But if you select JavaScript, it will show only JavaScript files, right? If you click on this filter, CSS filter, it is showing only CSS files like that.
Okay.
Here, this is the purpose of this one.
Yes.
So by default, it will be all will be selected. And I will explain this waterfall also. What does this column indicate? Okay, not required as of now. Once we are into scripting, then I will explain. Okay, so I'll explain this. What is this? This column indicates. What does this column indicate? All right. So let's go back to the. Let's finish this post. Right. So post request and. Oh, sorry. So post request, these are the properties of post request. Post requests are never cached, right? They will not be stored, means never cached means they will not be stored in the browser cache, right? They do not remain in the browser history. They cannot be bookmarked because we submit confidential data, right? In post request, we submit confidential data, right? That's why they will not be cached. They will not be stored in the browser cache, or they will not be remaining in the browser history, and they cannot be bookmarked. And they have no restrictions on data length. This is another important thing. Get request has a length restriction. Get requests have length restriction, whereas post requests do not have length restriction. Clear? So with get request, I think 128 or there is a limit. Okay, let me check. Yeah. So now you can send only 2048 characters, 2048 characters in a get request. In a get request, you can send only 2048 characters. To a maximum of 2048 characters minus the number of characters in the actual path. Okay. Anyways, let's remember this one. I'll make a note of this in the slide. All right, but post request doesn't have any such length restrictions. You understood what is length restriction? So observe here, when you send a get request, hold on, right? So if you send a get request, right? So length means like if there is some form data here, like if or else if the resource name is if the path is too big, or if the resource name is too big, right? It is limited to only 2048 characters. We can't send they have some length restriction for a get request. But post request law, we are submitting form data, right? And the form data can be huge also, right? See here, this is form data, right? So the length of this data can be up to, there are no length restrictions on the post request. Means you can submit how much data you want if it is a post request. Clear? Yes, is it clear or no?
Yes.
Right. Just remember that, just remember that get requests have length restrictions, whereas post requests have no restrictions on the data length. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Because whenever we submit form data, it goes as a post request only, right? There should not be any limitation on that form data, right? Some forms may be having a lot of form data, right? Lot of fields to enter,
Yeah. Yes.
right? That's why you don't have that restriction on the length. Next, put request is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. Put request is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. Generally, put request will be used like if you want to set the password for a particular user and so on, you use a post request. So when we go to scripting, I'll show you this, how we use put request to set the passwords and all. I'll show you this practically. Okay. And delete request, it is used to delete the specified resource. You just need to remember this, what is put request is used to create or update a resource. Delete method is used to delete the specified resource, right? Means a specified entity from the server. If you want to delete a specified resource or entity from the server, delete method is used. Okay, we don't use delete method frequently, but we use get, put and get, post and put frequently. Okay, I'll show you this with an example. Okay, next. So this is all about HTTP request methods, and we have some more time. We will finish this request. Okay, I'll stop it here. I'll stop the theory over here. Okay, let me show you one more thing. We just now discussed it, right? We are sending a request for index.htm, right? But there are 8 requests that are getting called, right? So let me explain this and close the session for today. This is important to understand. Okay, guys, is it clear what I am going to explain?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We have sent a main HTTP request, right? This is the main HTTP request that we have sent from browser to server, but internally a total of 8 requests are sent to the server, right? I just want to explain how does this happen. So if you observe this index.htm page, right? So let me open that index.htm page, right? How can you open is, go to that WebTools shortcut and use this open file location. You'll go to that WebTools folder, right? htdocs WebTools, you have this index.htm, right? Observe here, this index.htm is calling 2 frames, right? There are 2 frames. One is header frame and body frame. Okay, means this in the line number 5 you see here, source is equal to header.html, means this index.htm is calling another frame called header.html. So that this is that particular frame. This let me close this. See, this particular frame is header.html, this one. Okay, and this is that is one thing. And what is the other one that I have told? Hold on. The other frame is welcome.pl, right? The next frame is body frame. In the body frame, it is calling welcome.pl, right? Where is that welcome.pl? That is in CGI bin folder. In CGI bin folder, you have welcome.pl. Okay. Now, if you go to WebTools folder, in CGI bin, let me clear this. Okay, in CGI bin, you have another file welcome.pl, right? So basically, index.htm is calling header.html and welcome.pl, right? So one, this is header.html makes the header and welcome.pl it makes the body of the page here. So this is header. The first top part is header. Right, this is header. Oh, sorry. See, this is header, the blue color one, right? And this is body. Or this, right? This is made up of welcome.pl page, right?
Yes, sir.
Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now let's open that. Let me clear this. I'm clearing that. Now let's open that, header.html once. What is, let's check like what is there in that header.html. See here. So header.html has again two components. One is, first one is, color, right? See here, BG color for background color, right? And this is the color code for blue color, the dark blue. We see the dark blue color background, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So this is the color code for that blue, right? BG color means background color. And on top of that, you see two images, right? hplogo.png and webtools.png,
Image web tools.
right?
Yeah.
So they are in images folder, right? So header.html is calling, there is an image folder in which you have two images, like hplogo.png. This is the first image, hplogo.png, and webtools.png. Right. So in this way, this header.html is calling these two images, right?
Yeah.
All this background color and these two images make the header.html, right? Now, so what is the other one? Welcome.pl, right? So welcome.pl page makes the body part of the page. This one, the body part is built by, means the code is written in welcome.pl, this particular code. Clear? The reason why I'm explaining is like, you should understand, like when we are sending a one request, from the browser, there are total 8 requests going to the server, right? So, and so you should understand that. That is the reason I'm explaining this. You need not, you need not explain everything to the, to anyone, but you should have an understanding, basic understanding of this. Clear? Now, now here comes another interview question. What is the difference between a request and a hit? Very popular interview question. What is the difference between a request and a hit? Right? So request is nothing but our main HTTP request, right? And these are all called as hits to the web server. These are called as hits. Or sub requests anochu. All the sub requests to the server are called as hits. Total any 8 requests will server ki. These there means we can say that there are 8 hits to the server. You got it?
Sorry, can you please explain again?
Yeah. The interview question is, what is the difference between request and a hit? Request and a hit. Okay. So request means our main HTTP request that we are sending to the server. This is the request that we are sending from the browser to server, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? There is one request, but at the same time, how many hits went to the server, right? I explained previously, like whatever request you send from the browser, it goes to the web server, right? Whatever URL or whatever request you send from the browser, it will go to the web server, right? Initially. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So there are a total of 8 hits to the server, means or sub requests, or the total number of requests that are sent to the actual number of requests sent to the server are 8 in this page, in this example.
Yeah.
And these are called as hits.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if they may ask the question in some, so you got it right. Request is the main HTTP request,
Yeah.
right? Main HTTP request, that we enter in the browser. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And hit means sub request, right? Or hits. Hits means sub request. We can call that as sub request, right? Sub request means request for page components. Can we let's say like that?
Yeah, sure.
Page
Yes.
components. We can say like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Images, JavaScript files, CSS files, right? Page components. That is images. First comes HTML, right? First comes HTML, right? Images and JavaScript, CSS, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
These are called as hits to the server. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop it here. It's 9:30. I'll stop it here. Any queries before we close the session for today?
Kishore, here index.html is main request or sub
This is
request?
the main request. This is the main request. I mean, this is called as HTTP request.
Okay.
The URL that
Remaining are sub requests, right?
okay, your confusion is like as we have index.html here also, is it called as a sub request or main request, right? Is that your query?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. See, this is our main request. The complete thing, localhost, web2s, index.html, whatever we enter in the browser, that is called as HTTP request, main request, right? So what all, but actually there are 8 requests sent to the server, including this index.html. There are total of 8 requests sent to the server. These are called as hits.
So
Yeah,
Kishore,
here we can call this as HTTP request and main request, and these can be called as sub requests, the remaining 7. Is it clear?
Okay, Kishore. Yeah.
This is the main request that we are sending, right? Whatever we enter in the browser, that is called as main HTTP request, and the rest all are sub requests, can be called as sub requests.
If possible, can you explain with any other application? Means like
Yeah.
Amazon or Gmail.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, see, this is your main request, Amazon.in, right? That is what we entered in the browser, right? But there are a total of 340, 350 requests. Okay. It will keep on increasing because the images are changing, right? So there are some flash files over here, right? So that's why it keep on increasing. That's why I stopped it. Right. There are a total of around like 350 requests, sub requests, right? Images, CSS files, JavaScript, and so on. There are a lot of images, as you can see here, right? Let's sort with images. Select IMG. There are total of 264 out of 350 page components. There are 264 images, right? It's clearly showing here 264 out of 351 requests, right? How many CSS files are there? There are 3 CSS files, right? JavaScript files, there are 14 JavaScript files out of 351. There are 14 JavaScript files. Okay. Any other queries? Is it clear now? Ishta, is it Ishta?
Yeah.
so I have one question. So can we also say hit as like number of sub requests for a resource? Can we define hit like this?
Yes. Hit as
Number of
number
sub
of
requests for a resource.
sub request for a resource. No, sorry.
While
Okay.
while accessing a resource or anything.
See, for each resource, there will be only one request, right? How can you define it as number of requests for a resource?
Number of sub requests.
Yeah, number of sub requests for a resource. The total number of sub requests, those are called as hits. All the hits is nothing but like the total number of sub requests for a resource for the page components.
Okay.
We can say as page components because not one resource, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stop it here. All right. Yeah, any queries before we close? Any more queries?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, main request is internally converted into that